A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever loves me will keep my word, and my Father will love him, and we will come to him and make our dwelling with him. Whoever does not love me does not keep my words. Yet the word you hear is not mine, but that of the Father who sent me. I have told you this while I am with you. The Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and remind you of all that I told you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give it to you. Do not let your hearts be troubled or afraid. You heard me tell you, I am going away and I will come back to you. If you loved me, you would rejoice that I am going to the Father, for the Father is greater than I. And now I have told you this before it happens, so that when it happens, you may believe." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
One thing that I will not miss at all from my graduate studies is the APA format. So it sounds like there's some familiarity there. So my papers and assignments had to conform to this detailed and somewhat rigid set of rules that was created by the American Psychological Association. And there are so many rules. The APA publishes a book, and it's just this list of rules that you have to follow to produce a properly formatted document. So in addition to dealing with the APA format as a student for the past 2.5 years, I was also a graduate assistant. And so what that means is you do the stuff, you're assigned to an instructor, so you do the stuff that they don't want to do. And so one of my jobs was to come through all of the instructor's students' papers and highlight the areas that did not conform to this APA format. And that was painful. Now this hypervigilance for proper formatting really kind of runs against the grain for this job that I had the prior 3 decades. And I worked with engineers from all over the globe in a high-paced, demanding career as a computer chip designer. Malaysia, India, Japan, China, all these different countries, California. We never cared about formatting or even spelling, for that matter. If we could understand each other, we called that success. So transitioning from this computer chip designer role to a psychotherapist involved a lot of change on my part. But I got to tell you this, I never really gelled with the APA thing. And it probably doesn't help, that it's not practical. Everyone, once you're out of the academic world, you don't really cling to the APA format. You kind of let it go. I've already let all my books go that had to teach me about APA format. Now, there's this one question, that you're probably not asking yourself. Let's explore it anyway. The question is, you might ask, well, if you dislike APA format so much, why did you use it? That's a question. Why am I doing something that I don't want to do? Well, I might say that, I didn't have a choice. Well, that's not true. I could have turned in papers that were formatted however I felt like. But the truth is, I wanted to pass. I wanted passing grades in my classes so that I could get my diploma. No APA formatted papers, no expensive diploma with fancy writing on it. So when you're a student, it's generally clear who's in charge, who has authority. One person hands out the grades, and everybody else receives their grades. Now, all the students could complain, that it doesn't make sense to follow the APA format. Would that matter? No, not really. The authority rests with the instructor. So in our first reading today, it's from the book of Acts, chapter 15. And if you've ever wondered, is the Pope really explicitly spelled out in the Bible, do yourself a favor and just read the whole chapter. Read Acts chapter 15 in its entirety. Probably take you 5 minutes. Now, there's other places in the Bible that call this out, but Acts chapter 15 shows it in action. Today's reading covers parts of that chapter, but if you read the whole chapter, it'll help you understand something pretty important about St. Peter's role in the church right as it was starting. So St. Paul had gone out among the Gentiles and started a bunch of these Christian churches. And then once he got them going, people are being converted. They're receiving baptism, confirmation. They're having Mass. Later on, some other people would show up and start messing things up. And these people that showed up, they were Jewish, and they wanted to convince these new converts, these new Christians, that they also had to become Jewish to really be Christian. So even though Paul says, hey, no, that's not true, you don't need to follow the Mosaic law, people were not convinced. So Paul takes his case to Jerusalem. And there the apostles get together and discuss the issue. And that's what Acts chapter 15 is about. But in this whole discussion, it's not just the apostles. For example, the meeting includes Pharisees. The thing is that the Pharisees, they lived their whole life from the time they're like 3, learning how to become Pharisees, and in their whole life is committed to knowing, following the Mosaic law, teaching others to follow the Mosaic law. And there in Acts chapter 15, you'll get to this point where it says, after much debate had taken place, Peter got up and said to them, he said a bunch of stuff, but it boils down to this: the Gentiles don't need to follow the Mosaic law. And then after Peter says this, the text continues. It says, the whole assembly fell silent. That is what it looks like when everyone in the room knows who has the authority. If Peter had said, write everything in APA format, maybe Luke would have said that the whole assembly winced, but still remained silent. So in today's gospel reading, Jesus says that he's going to the Father. Even though he's going to the Father, he says that the Holy Spirit will soon be sent in his name and will teach the apostles everything. The Father sent the Son returned to the Father, and the Father and the Son sent the Holy Spirit. And this is why, when the church teaches dogmatically, we can trust it. So in today's reading, you'll notice it says, it is the decision of the Holy Spirit and of us that the Gentiles don't need to be Jewish. These church teachings come to us through the gifts of the Holy Spirit, and that's why we can trust them. Now, just a brief aside here, there's a hierarchy involved with these teachings that come to us through the church. So the highest, the most definitive teachings are dogmatic teachings. These are very solid, unalterable, inerrant teachings. Things like the creed they're about to say, or, what goes in the Bible. These are dogmatic teachings. And after that comes teachings of doctrine. Now, the teachings of doctrine are a long way on their way to becoming dogma. But there's still a chance that things can be changed. Now, at the bottom of this hierarchy is things like discipline. Priestly celibacy is a discipline. Things could be changed, but there's really good reasons to have it. So all these teachings that come to us, they're a gift. Unlike the APA format, these things come to us from the Holy Spirit through the church, and they help us. God tells us the things that are good for us. So in my past, before I understood what the Catholic Church was, I held these teachings in contempt, but not any longer. Reflecting now, as I look back, I've seen examples where the world thought it knew better, but I've yet to see a case where the world is vindicated. But I do have examples where the opposite is true. where the church's teaching is actually vindicated. The Father sent the Son. The Son returned to the Father, and they sent to us the Holy Spirit. Such an awesome gift. It's not forced on anyone. It's a gift that we choose each day to receive or reject. It's a gift that, when received, brings us closer to the Holy Spirit, to the Son, and to the Father.